FTC Boodle. In July 2016, in a detailed complaint, the FTC finally announced government findings of pervasive deception and a fraudulent business model in which Herbalife participants did not and could not earn profits from retailing, direct selling, but only from recruiting. It showed how the Herbalife model required participants to buy the products in order to gain access to the falsely promised recruiting rewards, giving a lie to Herbalife's claim that the products were being purchased based on brand preference. The Herbalife income scheme, the FTC revealed, resulted in the vast majority of everyone who ever participated failing to gain a profit. The complaint also documented how Herbalife targeted vulnerable immigrants and others lured into investing. It presented evidence of misleading and false claims of high incomes. The victims hardest hit, according to the FTC, were those that had bought into what Herbalife called nutrition clubs, most of whom were immigrants. The clubs, it revealed, were actually high-cost recruiting centers, just another form of pay-to-play in the endless chain. In its settlement, announced the same day the devastating findings were presented, the FTC famously and perplexingly did not label the company a pyramid scheme, while detailing the precise characteristics of and the scale of damage caused by a pyramid scheme. After more than 3 years in which the business media speculated and debated about Herbalife as a pyramid scheme, the word pyramid did not appear in the FTC complaint or the settlement, even as a reference point. Nor did the FTC immediately enjoin the company from practices it had determined to be illegal and harmful. Instead, the FTC announced that under an agreement in which Herbalife admitted no wrongdoing, it would allow the illegal practices to continue while gradually requiring changes through a complex compliance process. Herbalife agreed to pay $200 million to be distributed to victims by the FTC. 6 months later, on January 10, 2017, the FTC mailed out 350,000 checks, totaling $200 million in restitution to victims of Herbalife. It described the payments as, quote, providing partial refunds to people who ran an Herbalife business in the United States between 2009 and 2015, and who paid at least $1,000 to Herbalife, but got little or nothing back from the company. Most checks are between $100 and $500. The largest checks exceed $9,000. Most victims of Herbalife paid in something less than $1,000 to Herbalife, yet still a substantial loss for them. They got nothing back. The payments were only to U.S. citizens during a 6-year period. Herbalife had been inflicting losses on millions of people since its inception in 1981. The order allows Herbalife to continue these same practices in the rest of the world that it deemed illegal and harmful in the U.S. More than 80% of Herbalife's business is outside the U.S. At first, surprisingly impressed that the FTC had acted at all, most observers soon experienced a wrenching déjà vu realization. The FTC actually protected Herbalife and once again insulated the MLM industry from investigation. The conspicuous avoidance of the term pyramid scheme undercut all other statements and the facts of the investigation. The $200 million restitution payment imposed on Herbalife, large in terms of MLM enforcement history, had no significant impact on Herbalife's $4 billion finances. Similarly, it offered no economic justice to the millions of consumers left out of the settlement. And then, the most shocking revelation: the entire FTC negotiation with Herbalife that led up to the simultaneous release of the FTC complaint and the settlement was hatched out with the consultation of the FTC's own former Obama-appointed chairman, John Leibowitz. He was now working for Herbalife against the FTC. While chairman of the FTC, Leibowitz oversaw the exemption of MLM from FTC's business opportunity disclosure rules. He also maintained the pattern of selective MLM prosecutions that are always, quote, fenced in to ensure the industry was not affected. Leibowitz's consumer protection chief, David Vladeck, who had rudely rebuffed consumer complaints about Herbalife, appeared to have no financial ties to the pyramid lobby, but his immediate boss and the person who gave him his job did indeed have ties. Leibowitz, a Democrat and married to the Washington Post op-ed writer Ruth Marcus, known in her field as a liberal Democrat, was first appointed to the FTC by Republican George W. Bush in 2004. Immediately prior to his appointment to the FTC, Leibowitz worked for 4 years as the top lobbyist for Hollywood, the motion picture industry. During the Herbalife investigation, prosecution, and simultaneous settlement, which occurred after his departure from the FTC, 2014-2016, it was revealed that Leibowitz, quote, advised Herbalife in connection with its $200 million settlement with the FTC relating to allegations that it engaged in unfair and deceptive acts and practices. Then, when the ink was barely dry on the day of the settlement, Herbalife announced in a press release, quote, the board also appointed Jonathan Leibowitz, partner in the law firm of Davis, Polk, and Wardell, and former chairman of the Federal Trade Commission, as a senior advisor to the board. Fortune magazine quoted Herbalife management's letter to shareholders that revealed a pre-planned disinformation campaign when the settlement would be announced. The FTC claimed the settlement required fundamental restructuring of Herbalife's U.S. business model, but Herbalife reported to its investors, quote, today we announced a settlement with the FTC that does not change our direct selling business model. Adding to the letter's theme of triumph and defiance, it reported that the board appointed former FTC chair John Leibowitz as senior advisor. Wall Street believers.